Who the fuck are those guys?
Yeah. Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the best day of the week, High Top Sports Wednesday. We're suited up on this beautiful Wednesday like we thought we would. We anticipated it. We had a fantastic live show today, 500 strong at 1 o'clock today. It was bumping. It was wild. It was incredible. If you missed it, shame on you, but it was for the Joshua Moore live commitment, and it was incredible. We're going to watch this film a little bit, which we watched it later on today. It is fun to watch. Talk about that big-time commitment. Talk about some star changes. Talk about where the Gators are. Talk about Juicy July. We're going to talk about a rule change that's going to impact the Florida Gators. Toughest places to play, but I can't do any of that until we introduce, of course, co-host of the Even, this is David Swolderquist. What's going on, big dog? How you doing?
I had a little bit of a rough week, man. Had to babysit some 12-year-olds, but hey, we got to commit. I got the lane chain on. It's Wednesday. It's high time. Let's get it. Let's go.
Yes, look, when you maneuver these guys on Twitter and whatnot, they're all 12-year-olds. So I get it. I understand it. Look, man, big time pickup today in Joshua Moore, huh? This guy I said he was 2.5 Cody's. Mm-hmm. He's like 2 3/4 of Swolders. I mean, this kid is huge. 6'4". Come on, Swolder. What you know about that? You never sniffed 6'4" ever.
Yeah, I mean, I know. We finally got some length. We got some tallness in that room. Somebody that can get those 50-50 balls. And you know what I'm saying, man? This kid, he averaged 20 yards per carry his sophomore year, junior year, around like 18. He averages around almost 19 yards per reception. I said carry, I meant reception. But I mean, this kid's a ball hawk. Like, you just watch his film. And I tried to find his track times. And you know how many Joshua Moores that there is? There's a lot of them.
There is a lot of them.
I had to type in Joshua, Moore, Broward, West Broward, and I was still searching all over the internet. I couldn't find it. So if there's any coaches or anybody that has access to any of those track time websites, let me know, man. Let me know. Hook me up, brother.
I was wondering, if you had some stats, because when I was looking up Joshua Moore stats, I got everyone but our Joshua Moore. But while we're talking about it, I'll take a look at this man's film again. This clip here fired Cody and I up on the live stream today. The Odell Beckham here. Look, again, in his interview, a couple guys interview. I think Nick from Gator Country, I clicked on his article, took a screenshot. His quote was, look, they've got a general, they've got a leader in DJ Lagway. And we've been talking about this. There was some question, head scratchers. We felt that. And again, I say this every time. I want to make sure I preface this, that this isn't a knock towards the previous class, but the size. We lack the size. And watching his film, I don't know if it's just been a while since we've watched a 6'4" wide receiver, because every film that we've watched over the last 2 years has been the 5'10" guys just weaving in and out of traffic, just the speedsters, right? So we haven't really been able to watch much true, wide receiver one, Mike Evans style type, DK Metcalf style film. So when I'm salivating over here watching, it's like, man, this is incredible. No slot guy, you know what I mean? Just takes it and do a little quick route and runs it, 100 yards up the football field. No. He's grabbing over guys. He's jumping. He's doing Odells. He's catching corner fades. Like, fired me up here, boys. This is a fantastic pickup. 4-star, 3-star, and 247. We're gonna get into that about these rating sites. I was talking with Cody about it today, and it's interesting. But let's continue on Joshua Moore before we move on from that. What else you got, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, he's had 2,003 total all-purpose yards here. These are all from Max Preps. I actually put it in the article when I posted him when he committed. He's averaged 95.4 yards per game. So he's already averaging almost 100 yards each game that he plays. And then his longest receiving touchdown was 80 yards. I mean, you could tell the guy's got the speed. He's got the agility. He's got the size. I mean, this is a guy that, you can even play him as a little bit of an X factor on your team, a little bit if you wanted to. I mean, you got to think, man, him coming in, obviously, I don't know if he would play right away, but, you got to look at this wide receiver unit we got coming in. I mean, Eugene Wilson, Aiden Mazzell, some of the Tawaski Abrams, the fast names. You got Dre Hawkins. Now that you add Joshua Moore, and there's probably going to be other receivers hint down the road that you add to this class too. If you can hold on to all these receivers, you might have a really, really deep receiving core in the future. Hopefully for Billy Napier, if nothing happens in between now and this hot seat talk and all this other crap going on. But I mean, this is a good wide receiver haul that they've had, considering, with some of the guys that they missed on. I mean, you got a lot of speed right now on this offense. So I like the pickup, but at the same time, I think Billy G is going to do some damage this class. I just think he is.
He feels like he's got it dialed in. I mean, this is our our first wide receiver. The other one decommitted. Somebody asked how tall is Aiden Mizell. Mizell's 6'2". I think we kind of forget that he does have some length underneath him. Part of it is due to his size. He wasn't very big. He's put on a lot of muscle. I think this offseason he looked great at the spring game. Had some more size underneath him. Plus he carries a lot of speed. So even in his highlights are very speedish. Like just because I'll go ahead, 6'2" isn't short by any stretch, but this is 6'4". An extra
Yeah.
2 inches. Pause. Does a
Yeah.
lot. Does a lot.
I was about to say an extra 2 inches. What? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a game of inches, like they say, right? And football is football's inches and cleats, right? So yeah, I mean, like I love the pickup. Obviously, it's a top 200 kid. He's a top 50 kid there on three too. So and as you said, like it's starting to transition now. You're starting to see all, like you said, all the 24/7 guys going over to on three now. Now they're reshuffling some guys over there 24/7. So you might have to start keeping up with on three a little bit more now with statistics and all that. They got the Fong Bomb guy over there now. So yeah, but I love the pickup. I love the pickup, and like I said, there should be more coming this July. We just got to sit here and wait.
Called Juicy July. Army says one thing many people aren't talking about is the helmet communication aspect for this upcoming season. Well, no, Army Sniper, you just don't tune into the show anymore, but we've talked about it when the rule passed about how I think it's going to have a huge impact, especially for DJ Lagway when he does come in. But now even more so because Coach O'Hare is going to be allowed to be on the sideline providing communication because now all coaches and assistant coaches are allowed to provide in-game and in practice feedback, which we'll get into in just a moment, which is massive. Also, Mama says smash the like button and subscribe. Absolutely. Now, let's dive into this recruiting battle, this recruiting war between these sites and what's going on. So I think we all, our relationship with On3 as a fan base, ourselves, it's been, like just like any toxic relationship, up and down. But
Yeah.
I feel like we have a great relationship with the beat writers. I think we love those guys here at High
Yeah,
Top. We have Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say it's a love-hate relationship, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of over Florida and things like that keeps it spicy, but it's all in good love. But look, 247 lost Wilt Fong. They've lost a lot of top reporters over on that end. And when you look at kind of this breakdown a little bit for people that don't know the background and why does this matter, it's just I'm kind of look where you get your information on and how what's the place to really go to. 247's been the king for a while now, and On3 he's kind of been the young brother trying to make a stand. And On3, in my opinion, has done a great job of constantly marketing and their graphics and whatnot. But now they really made a huge overhaul this offseason, if you want to even call it that, by bringing in some big time guys. Wilt Fong was a huge pickup for them. The 247's new Wilt Fong's had some hiccups here so far. And 247, the reason why I'm bringing all this up because 247 has Joshua Moore as a 3-star. And it almost seems like they're kind of dropping, they're falling back a little bit on their scouting reports comparably to like, let's say, an On3. And just again, so, Shannon Terry started Rivals, moved on to 247. You kind of saw Rivals get sucked away as 247 got strong. Then Shannon went and started On3, and it's almost like he's sucking the good out of the 247 and building On3 up. And now these two guys are falling back. Like 247 is not going to go anywhere. Obviously, they're still a powerhouse, but there's definitely a change. And where do we look? Where do we go to get the truest data? Again, the reason why I think we've been frustrated and we've had our feelings to do so is we felt On3 was a little biased. That they were hating on the Florida Gators.
Well,
Good.
well, I'll say this: like, there's a lot of people I like it on three, and it's the Gators Online guys. But some of the people that are the national writers, I could care too less about. So.
They've got some, they got some spicy personalities to say the least. So the reason I mention all of that is one, just because again, we talk about recruiting on this channel. These are the sites that we use to talk about ratings and look at numbers. And again, it's just paper stuff, but we're in the middle of talking season. That's what you do. On3, also for people that don't know, take a look at the average rating. 247 looks at combined score and how they give each player a score. And we sit 67th on 247 and 47th on On3. And look, I think the quality of class is a little bit lower on three because I think they have some guys ranked a little bit lower. Joshua Moore is a 4-star on three and only a 3-star on 247. So again, still a long way to go. But Juicy July seems to be gearing up for a good one. And speaking of Juicy July, Vernell Brown's set to commit here in a couple of weeks, and he just got his 5th star. I believe he's the last 5th star on three. There's 32 5-stars, I believe, and he is the 32nd. Yeah, he's the 32nd 5th star. So
Yeah.
every 1 through 32 are all 5-stars, and he is the last one to bring it in there. So, I mean, this, again, Vernell projected right now, as of now, to go to Florida. A Wilt Fong, as I should say. Massive pickup if Billy Gonzalez is able to get this done.
Yeah, I mean, you bring in Vernell Brown, and you could even bring in a couple of more receivers down the stretch too. I mean, even with some speed. I mean, like, dude, even just with Vernell Brown and Joshua Moore, you got a pretty good wide receiver class. You got another key guy. Now we're cooking. Like, we're cooking in the backfield there. Obviously, I would love for them to add some elite offensive linemen because that's where Rob Sale struggled, and he continues to struggle. I mean, you look back at Zandamela, he kind of fell in your lap there. So that really, can you really say Rob Sale really hardly recruited Zandamela when he just wanted to come back home and be at home? I would love to see the offensive line recruiting get better because without an offensive line, how long are you going to have to throw to these elite receivers in the backfield? I mean, we see what happened with Mertz last year. He struggled a lot because, he's getting almost gang tackled just about every play. He's having to run for his life. And a lot of these receivers that could get open and be productive aren't getting open and can't get productive because he's having to check down to everybody because he's getting pressured. So would love to see the offensive line get better recruiting here down the stretch. Hopefully the strength and conditioning helps that. But at the end of the day, you bring in anybody that's elite, a 5-star from any position or a 4-star or top 50 guy, top 100. I'm not going to sit here and complain anyway. I'm going to take the guy. So, as far as anything goes, like bringing the 5-stars, bringing the 4-stars, Florida needs some talent. That's what they're doing this cycle, especially with Billy G on the trail.
Yeah, look, I think we've bit our tongue a little bit on the offensive line because I think we're going to really see this year is if Rob Sale can develop. I think that's something that he's kind of held his head high on again with a Torrent or Osiris Torrance, for a couple guys like that. Last year obviously was a blunder of a year for offensive line, but we're hearing a lot of great things this year. And the guys that are looking good this year weren't big time recruits. They were development players. They were project players, I should say. Obviously closing on Jason Zamandala, bringing in Wangagwe, I believe is how it's pronounced. These are guys that are not really going to knock you off the page, but are excited on what's to come. And again, the reason I think there's a lot of question marks, like, look, you got DJ Lagway. That guy is moving mountains. There should be moving mountains on the recruiting trail. Why wouldn't top offensive linemen want to come play for him? Peyton Joseph, when we picked him up, obviously he's decommitted now. Looks like he's a Florida State lock at the moment. I was excited. He's a fantastic pickup. We'll go watch this film. That kid is incredible. But obviously he has moved on. That relationship has been severed. Solomon Thomas is somebody, the 5-star inside offensive lineman. A lot of chirp that we could possibly flip him. That seems to have died down. We're trending away from that. So those things are kind of concerning to me because we hear about the 2 offensive linemen. We talk about it constantly. Players say they're excited about it, but when it comes push to shove, we just can't get it done. And look, we finished top 10 class, but there's just a lot of cornerback, safeties, and wide receivers. It's going to be an L, I would say. A small L. Look, it's super early. It's still very early, but a lot of these O-linemen are flying off the board as they normally do, and we're not really leading the way for a lot of them. So I do have some concerns on that. I have a lot of question marks and frustration on that still.
Yeah, with Burts being sacked 28 times last year and pressured over 100, I think that there's a revamp of the offensive line that needs to be done. And I think there needs to be a little bit more concentration on that, especially when you bring in a coach that likes to run the football and be a run-heavy coach. Like, you need a good offensive line. And now I'm not saying the guys that we brought in are bad or they're not going to develop to be great, but it's just like on a star level, you should be bringing in a lot better talent, especially here at the University of Florida. And what I picked up too, Nick Marcinko over there at Gator Country does a really, really good job there. But he actually had a quote from from Josh Moore, and it says DJ Lagway had a large impact on him committing. And quote, it says they got a general, a quarterback. Everyone else ain't got a quarterback. And that kind of raises a little bit of eyebrows with me because it's funny how a lot of these quarterbacks we were in it for didn't commit to Florida, and one of their main reasons was like, oh, I don't want to compete with DJ Lagway. He's going to be here for 4 years. So when you get a really good quarterback and nobody wants to compete with him, you probably don't want that quarterback anyway, because you want somebody that wants to be competitive and come here and take the starting job. So I think that's hilarious that no quarterbacks wanted to commit to Florida, but these wide receivers are starting to look at Florida just because of DJ Lagway.
So Army Sniper says, isn't there like 16 to 20 O linemen on the roster? I mean, yeah, there's a lot of depth there that we haven't had in years past. But I mean, you got to continue to fill that roster. And again, Bama and Georgia has 16 to 20 guys, and they continuously recruit, 4 to 6
And they're all
top tier
and
offensive linemen.
their offensive lines are good every single year too.
Yeah, you don't just stop because it's thick. You got to keep going after it. Keenan Johnson, Tim Buck says, sorry I missed the Joshua Work comment show, but it's commit show. Caught the replay, definitely got a target for DJ. We're not losing. Yeah, no, absolutely, Keenan. I believe, again, massive pickup, very excited. You could feel, it felt like the recruit, the way the recruit video went, that it was very Florida lean. It wasn't your flashy, typical, like if it's an FSU lean, those guys, it's different personalities, man. I've always nailed that on the head. Again, if I'm committing, it's a big time show, and I'm probably not committing to Billy Napier because Billy Napier doesn't recruit my crazy ass. So that's how it's rocking. Derek Zelman, what's up, man? That's our guy who runs our High Top Organ. He says, hey guys, new to college football. I'm told Daddy Mario and the Canes are can recruit offensive linemen. Why are they still poverty? Please report. Thanks. I love it. Derek the Duck coming in throwing.
Yeah, the University of Miami is having a little bit of trouble without their guy Ruiz over there. So
their baby daddy, old Ruiz there. So look, we'll continue to watch it. Hopefully, Juicy July pans out like we're hearing that it will. We did the calculator, I think, about a couple days ago on the possibility of what is to come, and with the lands that we had, which again wasn't any big time offensive linemen, wasn't any big edge players, puts us in that 15th hole, which is a fantastic place to be. With, in my opinion, still a long way to go. We've got about 10 to 12 commits that we would still need to be at, because I think we're at 7 right now. So with what we're looking to possibly land this July, puts us at 14 to 15, or maybe it's like 12, 13 commits. So you got to think there's about 10 more in there, and hopefully that gets gobbled up with the trenches. And then again, you could be sitting there looking at a top 5 class, but still a long way to go. Ohio State, Georgia recruiting their absolute tail off. It feels like they're just landing every 5-star they want, per usual. So Billy's still got a long way to go. I do want to talk about where'd that go? Yeah, this guy, Miles Johnson. So this crystal ball came in today. 4/3-star linebacker. 247 has him as 4-star. So for this particular player, we're gonna like 247. But on 3 has him as a 3-star. You were kind of mentioning before there were some injuries that have popped up over the year or so, because he was committed to Bama, but seems his communication has ceased from Bama, and Bama probably seized communication because they have been on. DeBoer has been an absolute burner here as of late. And look, I mean, I got to give credit when credit's due. I kind of questioned what DeBoer was going to be able to do at Alabama. A lot of people questioned. It wasn't just me. Could he come into the South and relate and be able to do what Nick Saban does? Look, I don't think you're going to lose the Alabama logo after a year. So that's going to carry some weight. I think DeBoer is going to, I think they're still excited about DeBoer down there and Alabama. And I think they're definitely going to go all in to continue that momentum. Now, the product on the football field could play a huge role in that. And I think that's where those Bama commits may not be as much as a lock as they have in the past. I still think there's an opportunity to flip those guys. But Miles Johnson is crystal balled as of now to come to Florida. Again, 3-star. So I know that's gonna frustrate a lot of people turning a 3-star you over here. But 6'1", 220. Good little crystal ball there.
Yeah, I mean, like if you look at his 100-meter times and 200-meter times, they jump off the chart. But I have heard there was something with an injury or something, and that's why Bama kind of played off of him and went elsewhere. But I mean, if Florida thinks he's a take, and Billy Napier obviously is a good evaluator of talent, maybe he does give him a shot, maybe brings him into the class, and maybe he can overcome whatever had happened. And I mean, you're not going to see his rating jump if there's some big time major concern about this kid physically or whatever. You're not going to see his rating jump off the charts. But I mean, if you look at him, he's just look how physical he looks. Look at those arms. Look at the guy. I mean, the guy's got size, man, and he's got some good track times, but will he be able to replicate that, recover from whatever the illness is or said illness there is, and be the same person when he gets to college? I think that's the biggest question mark, and I think that's why Alabama, obviously, right now they're still in their honeymoon stage with DeBoer, and they'll have. I don't even know if they're going to have a year because with all that talent and those fans in Alabama and how the winning expectations over there, he may have like 1 year. You better start winning. You better not Will Muschamp that stuff and get all that talent and not do anything with it. So I think DeBoer's in a precarious spot right now. I think he does have to win coming off the bat. I mean, he's got the talent to do it. He's got the talent to compete with anybody in the nation right now with what he left over. And obviously kids are still coming to Alabama right now. So that's a good thing. So I think it's a matter of time of DeBoer proving himself. And hopefully, if that happens, they'll be able to hold on to that endless cycle of success. Now, if he struggles, what happens then? Does another school step up? And does Auburn have a good year? Or do they start taking some of Alabama's recruits since they are in Alabama as well? I mean, that's a really good story to kind of pick apart if DeBoer does struggle a little bit this year. He's got a returning quarterback. He's got a lot of returning guys. He's got all the talent. So I think with his offensive philosophy that he had over at Washington, that may improve their offense a little bit. But as far as, just the overall perspective of getting some of these, this guy that just is crystal balled to Florida, I don't know what's going to go on with that situation. I don't know if Florida's going to say, hey, look, we're looking at other guys. We might take you. We may not. That's a real iffy situation. But right now he's crystal balled to Florida. If he's a take, he's a take. I trust the staff. So it's what it is.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm not. This is a wild take here. I wouldn't say that DeBoer's seat is hot as Billy's, but I would say that his job could become in jeopardy just as fast as Billy can, given the expectation at Alabama. And like you said, it's not like he's walking into a kind of a rocky situation in the same sense that Billy came into at Florida, right? Right. He's walking into a pretty healthy.
That's gonna be the story though. They're gonna be like, well, DeBoer did all this in years 2 and 3. Why can't Billy Napier? But they're not gonna mention the fact that Dan Mullen left him with so much great talent.
And look, he picked it up right where it left off, as you should. The momentum's there. You shouldn't lose too much. DeBoer isn't coming in off of. He's coming in off coaching for a national championship team at Washington. So real quick before we continue on, this is kind of sidetrack. I wanted to bring it up if I remembered it, and this just reminded me of it. The first of all, Army Sniper said, would we take Norvell over Billy Napier? And Austin says, Army Sniper, I'd take Shelton's left nut over no playoff Norvell. So I appreciate that, Austin. Also, guys, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe. We don't talk much baseball here, but I enjoy it. Nope. David doesn't know what it is. But the madness that's happening today with the Texas A&M head baseball coach, are you aware of this madness?
Cut out. You said it was a text message?
Yeah, he has no clue what's going on. So the Texas A&M head baseball coach who just took him to the College World Series against Tennessee was interviewed yesterday, I believe, on the possibility of leaving Texas. And this man doubled down. Like I've never seen this guy got a 6 and a 5, dealer showing a 4, and he asked if he could throw 3 doubles. Like, that's how confident this guy was getting a 10, blackjack 21. Of that he's not leaving. He destroyed the reporter. Yeah. It's like that's a jackass question that you would even ask me that. This is the place of all places that you want to come and coach. You shouldn't want to leave here. Yada, yada, yada. I'm talking full. Like, this is like what Lincoln did to USC and what other guys have done, kind of left in the middle of the night. It's been shady. This was, not only did he leave the less than 24 hours after that interview, he leaves to their arch nemesis. He goes from Texas A&M to Texas. The guy moves 5 minutes down the street to a new, bigger house with a bigger pool, and just changed the hanger on his door from a red tee to an orange tee. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's wild.
Yeah, you cut out there for a second, but like, I saw that. And what was funny is like they posted the video and he's guaranteeing that he's not leaving. He gets so pissed off. He gets so mad about it. Like, oh my God, how could you ask such a question? Oh my God, you should never ask that question. Here, write that. And then 24 hours later, he goes to Texas. So it's like, how, like, as a head coach, like, that's some bad PR for you as a head coach anyway, because you're gonna get to Texas, those guys are gonna be like, "Can we really trust anything that this guy
Right?
says?" Because, like, he comes off like he's so mad, he's so angry, and you know, "Oh my god, I'm telling the truth, and these guys don't believe me," and then you go and you just completely wax them anyway. Like, that's just no way, dude. Like, no way, shape, or form if he does really horrible at Texas and then he gets fired or he goes to take another job, who would take him? Like, I wouldn't take him, not
It's
just based on trust.
Yeah, right. It's a weird look, like, for even for Texas. I mean, I love it. I F Texas A&M, so I think it's hilarious. But it's apparently the people are coming out now saying that he was recruiting players at Texas while at Texas. Like, the fact you just took this team to the College World Series. Now you're scratching your head. It's like, did this coach throw the game? Because it's much harder to leave if you win. You know what I mean? Like, he's so Perry said he apologized today. The damage is already done. It doesn't. Nobody gives two shits what he has to say. Like, you've lost all
Yeah,
credibility. It was again. You could have just said, "Look, like, I have zero intent," but he obliterated the reporter. He made the reporter look this big. He was like, "That was a jackass question." Like, it took it to another level that he didn't need to do it. He could have just said, "Look, man, I'm gonna think about it. I have no intentions of leaving." That happens all the time. The guy doubled down on it. It's been wild to watch. It's been funny to watch. It just, to me, it's kind of it sinks all in because it's part of this recruiting cycle. We get mad at these kids for flipping schools. This is way worse. This is maddening.
and I'll say that. I'll say that, like, people will get frustrated for kids leaving schools, but, like, I'm frustrated for those kids at Texas A&M because that head coach lied to them. He lied to the people in the presser. He didn't even tell his kids. Like, when Billy Napier took the job at Florida, you even saw it on video where he was telling the kids, like, "Hey, I'm fixing to go to my next destination. I hope you guys, I wish you good luck."
Hmm.
Had a great meeting with them, told the press. This guy just didn't even tell anybody. It just up and left. Like, that's like the most horseshit kind of, like, childish thing you can do as a grown ass man, is do that to a bunch of kids and people in the presser.
Wild, absolutely wild. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe. We're about to talk about the changes that the NCAA has made to coaches. They also made changes to the transfer, or they're looking to make changes about the transfer portal. Before we do that, let's give a shout out to our sponsor. High Top Sports is brought to you by BetterHelp. This year's gone by so quickly. What's something you're proud of in 2024 so far? What's something you still want to accomplish this year? Life goes by fast. It's important to take a moment, celebrate your wins, and make adjustments for the rest of the year. Therapy can help you take stock of your progress and set achievable goals for the next 6 months. So look, we talk about this. We talk about BetterHelp, how it can help you. Again, having somebody to talk to, but it's also, again, a great somebody to have an accountability partner, somebody to talk to, measure your goals, set goals, making sure that people are there to keep it, keep you accountable. It's a fantastic website. You're able to go on there, set yourself up, take a test. It sets you up with a therapist based on the questions. And if you don't like the therapist, change it. No problemo. It's convenient. It's affordable. Again, the biggest thing is those are the two biggest things are why people don't go to therapy, and it's discreet, right? You can kind of keep it to yourself, but have somebody to talk to. We love it. We're ecstatic that BetterHelp wanted to be partners with High Top Sports. From jeans to therapy, High Top Sports got you guys taken care of. So take a moment, visit betterhelp.com/hightop today. Get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/hightop. So I love it. I love it.
I,
Um,
yeah.
let's move into the not that yet. So the big earth-shattering news, and look, these are things, in my opinion, I've kind of alluded to this a little bit, where Billy has made futuristic moves before it's come known to everybody. This being 2 years in advance, we didn't see it, but now it's coming to fruition. But the one that I'm referring to is the front office move, the Texas A&M guy coming over to be part of that front office move in the NIL. That to me was a big time move given where NIL is now and how it's adjusted and how it's changing, right? And how it's impacting the collective. So, and where it is becoming more of a salary based pay each player. That was the new rule that broke. That's where that guy takes in. He handles that. At the time of the move, it didn't make a lot of sense. But obviously, these coaches usually have their ear to the ground and they're familiar with these changes happening. This change isn't something that came out of nowhere. They thought it was going to happen last year. So when Billy comes in and has a staff full of 155 people, I remember that photo of the entire staff after year one being viral because it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It was incredible. Now, Bailey looks like a genius. Now, here's the big thing. He can look like a genius if we go into this season and we're rocking and rolling. There's zero excuses now for 11 guys on the foot or for 9 guys on the football field, right? You've got every special team assistant, special teams, you got every person known to man out there. I want 35 guys making sure that we have the right number of guys on the football field, okay? I want 35 guys making sure that we're not having 2 number 3s on the football field. I want another 35 guys just talking to Mertz. I want another 35 guys yelling at the offensive line. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where this is at. And somebody I keep thinking of, again, people a lot have talked about this, is Coach O'Hara, the quarterback coach. He now gets to be a part of this, and he gets a ton of credit. Kind of stays under the radar a little bit. We see photos of him from time to time, but he's not able to be there in the game day. But he works with these quarterbacks day in and day out. Mertz has had nothing but great things to say about him. Now he gets to come back, have one-on-one with them, look at the iPad together. Maybe he's in his headset a little bit, right? You just get to have that guy that you're kind of your security blanket that you work with all off season, all outside of practice. Now be there in the heat of the moment, and also too takes a ton off Billy Napier. Something we have been beating the drum about. He can't handle all these things. And now, again, I know people are still going to call for an offensive coordinator. But this guy literally has nothing else to do now. You've got 16 assistants to make sure your shoes are tied the right direction. You better call the right play. You better call the right play, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, man, we might even see Mark Hockey out there calling some plays or something like that. But yeah, but I mean, like, you look at the special teams, man. Like you said, I want 35 guys saying this, doing this. I want 35 guys saying we ain't losing, first of all. Second of all, I want to see one person for each player that needs to get on the field on special teams. Have somebody right behind them and just push them out there on the field. That way you make sure you get 11 people out there on the field.
You have a guy assigned
like, that
to
is
each
the
player
biggest
that's
bugaboo
supposed to
I
go
think
on
I've
the
had
field.
about.
You know what I mean? You got little assistants for each player. You got personal assistants.
Yeah, just like, here, give him a little pat on the ass or something like that. Hey, get out there. Let's go. But, like, yeah, I mean, like, we talk about the Napier army that they brought when Napier was hired, right? And everybody was making fun of Napier, saying, and you hired all these assistants, yet we're still slow in the portal, yet we're still losing games, yet we're still making all these errors on special teams. We're still, I mean, I could name 20 different things that they've done probably wrong in this whole thing. But, like, now, like you said, you have no excuse. You got them all there to help you on field. So it does take the pressure off Billy Napier if he wants the pressure taken off of him, if he allows them to do that, which is another thing. And secondly, after you've hired all these guys, I felt like he wasted a lot of money hiring a whole bunch of people because it felt like you hired 100 people to do nothing. Now you can use these guys. You can utilize them a lot more. So I think Billy Napier was a little bit ahead of the curve, if you would want to ask me that. But now you're going to have schools with all these assistants, and then they're going to want to replace their assistants with all these other assistants that are at these other schools. It's going to be like recruiting on the assistant staff side every year.
Look, what's also too, I mean, a thought process is, we're kind of in this weird, all these movements are trying to make this thing a more level playing field. But now these rich schools that can afford to hire 50 plus assistants, just going to expand their, make it a little bit further. Like, these guys are going to have an impact on the football field. Think about Michigan in the cheating scandal, right? Like, it's just one extra guy to catch signs and to do those things. Look, I think where it really comes into play is, especially for us, I don't know how this is going to benefit other teams. And imagine teams like Georgia and Bama that haven't had issues. Now they're getting extra hands. How they're going to, be successful with this. But we saw where we struggled with it. And I think Ron Roberts came in to be a part of that as well, too. The small parts, special teams, I think this is going to play a big factor. And then again, with the individual position groups, you're going to just have more emphasis on those during the games. You could argue too, maybe it's too many hands in the pots, but I just think they're going to be able to work with them, coach them, and keep the mayhem at a standstill. It's also for practice too. It's not just the games. So this is going to be something through in and throughout. And again, when Billy brought this entire staff in, there was, I can't remember exactly, but there was a breakdown of the budget, and he chose to use more of overall budget, which goes into recruiting, mind you. If I'm not mistaken, part of that budget went to hiring more staff. And for the last 2 years, right, there's a question mark of like, well, what was this for? And like you said, He was a little bit before his time. There was intention of this happening. You got everything you could possibly want now, Billy. It's literally lined up for you perfectly outside of an egregious schedule, which in reality, again, a lot of people are kind of high on Florida. They're starting to realize like Florida has a lot of talent. I saw a report a couple days ago about the blue chip stocks that are on this team headed into this year. And Florida is one of the higher teams in the top 10 teams of blue chip talent going onto the football field into this upcoming season.
Yeah, I think Florida was like right at number 11 at like 61%, somewhere in the 60s or low 60s.
I thought it was
But
67.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, I guess it depends on what site you go by. I think I saw like 24/7 or on threes. I can't remember. But I mean, like with the whole new assistance thing too, which is funny because I thought about this concept. It's like you don't want too many cooks in the kitchen there on the sideline because there can be a lot of chaos and miscommunication and all that. So that could be a factor as well. And at the same time, like how like when something exciting happens or something like just really insane happens, you see all these staff members, they get on the outside of the grass, and then the refs are throwing flags at them and telling them to back up. Like you're gonna have to worry about all those guys doing that. Like, so
True.
do you really
It
put
could
every
get
assistant
messy.
you got
Yeah,
out there?
look, I don't think you're gonna just throw everybody on the sideline, but if you needed, let's just say, man, like you're looking back, it's like if we could have had 3 guys here, 2 guys here, the difference we could have had during that game. Somebody watching this, and that, where I don't have to think about it. That's huge. And I think on practice, it's going to make a big difference too. It's just you can kind of get more analytical with it, and especially how analytical
Yeah.
Billy is with what we've been hearing with Tyler Miles and the data that they're providing. You're just able to have instant feedback right away throughout those practices versus having for it to travel in multiple layers. I think that's going to be the big thing. Look, we talk about it all the time. The season's won now, these months. And so if these guys can be more impactful during these practices, that's what's really going to make a difference, more so than just in the in-game stuff. But also another change that hasn't been voted on yet that is coming, that looks like it will be coming, though, is the transfer portal timeline is going from 45 days to 30 days. Now, that may not seem off the top of your dome like, okay, like whatever, that's just a 15-day change. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but in this grand scheme of things, when this entire process appeared to be the Wild Wild West, you take 15 days of madness and shrink up a timeline of when you have to make a decision. I think it cleans the process up a little bit. When you just think about it from a procrastination level, back when you were in high school and you had a project due. If you had 8 months to get it done, it allowed for you to overthink it. It allowed for you to be lackadaisical. It allowed for you to maybe make a more rash decision because you could sleep on it for so long. If you had a project due in 2 weeks, it's a little more, let's get to it. Let's figure this thing out. And I think it helps everybody involved, mainly the coaches, where they're not they're trying to recruit plus a transfer portal, right? It shortens these little in seasons in between the off season, right? You've got the in season, you've got off season, you've got recruiting, you've got portal recruit. If you can shorten those windows up to where they don't overlap, just makes a cleaner process for everybody and for everyone to do a better job. So I think it should be passed, and I think obviously they're looking to make changes to the recruiting windows too. All of these things, in my opinion, are for the better to clean up this whole process. That again, what is right now the Wild Wild West.
Yeah, I think that was a good idea there. I mean, I think it's too long. 45 days is enough. I mean, you got to also think that once these kids enter the transfer portal, they can be on day 30 and enter and then take their time and decide where they want to go. So it's not
Correct.
like, if you've only got 30 days to decide and decide a school, like you can enter at any time. So I wasn't really fazed by the rule. I was like, I don't know why they're changing this, but it's whatever, because it really doesn't matter. It's just you're just gonna have to speed up the process with getting these players in the portal. The guys that want to go in the portal, they're gonna have to fill out their papers fast. They're gonna have to make a decision of whether they want to stay or whether they don't. So I kind of like the rule because it also, like you said, it gives a lot of the coaches leeway a little bit more. You got 2 more weeks there to where you can kind of figure out what you want to do, who you want to take, who you don't want to take, or if you already took them. And it also gives a little bit more time for those schools to quit tampering there a little bit, because we all know
Again, I
that
think
tampering
it gives control
happens.
back. It gives control back to it levels out this balance of who has control. The players have got a lot of control. They almost maybe got too much. So we've got to balance, checks and balances thing back. I think this is just one of those checks bringing things back to a balance. So I like it. 450 strong, boys, and not 100 likes. That's upsetting. I'm wearing the freaking spacesuit. Lock it in, boys. Okay, let's dial this thing up and let's go.
We're the lane.
I mean, what's
chain,
up,
man.
boys?
We were
Lane
lane
chains
chains
are rocking.
spacesuit.
We're
Gotta do it.
flowing. You know what I mean? Dave doesn't just wake up on Wednesdays for no reason. Okay, let's dial it in, boys. The
Yeah,
Ace
I know.
celebrates 9 months of membership. Absolutely incredible that you've been supporting this channel for almost a year. Appreciate you, Ace. Says keep bringing that spacesuit out. I would love to just keep it on all month long for Juicy July. And then Army Sniper, he, just negative Nancy lately. Him and Q Lee starting a podcast together called We Hate Florida. Says Ron Roberts and Austin gonna fight $2. Appreciate your $2, Sniper. Glad to have you back though. Pessimistic or not, it's always great to see you. Motorcycle Miles, baby. What a nickname for Tyler Miles. I'm digging that. K Ziegler might be the nickname of the week right now. I'm digging that. Let's
could you see, like, since they got that new rule, just Tyler Miles rolling out on his bike on the sideline, just
it's like our new entrance.
I said we could do it.
I mean, anything can go now. I love it. All right, let's deuce it out over this. A lot of people have already seen this. They've argued about it. I made the joke. This feels like a big game boomer list because it just felt like it was such a joke. College football, the game that's coming out here in less than 20 days now. Is
that guy still doing those stupid lists?
He dropped one today of quietest stadiums I saw. He saw an opportunity and struck. So
oh my god,
well done. They've been great. I feel like they've answered the bell on everything thus far that we've wanted to see. This was a complete blunder. This is and look, it's a video game. Who cares? It's first of all, it's talking season. Second of all, we do care because this, to me, this list has some legitimacy because you got to think that this was taken. Most lists have a biased opinion about it, right? 90% of these lists that we see online, they're biased because they're human. This there's obviously bias, but it should be accumulation. It should be a true active decision. Like it should be to a science of what are the actual toughest places to play. And it's an atrocious list by all. And I'm not even going to attack this from a Florida perspective, being number 10 behind Doak, which is behind Wisconsin, Oklahoma, and FSU is just disgusting. First of all, but we won't even go there. Alabama at number 2, A&M at number 1, complete stretch. Complete stretch. It's LSU, Death Valley number 1. It's anybody and everybody knows that. I was a Florida fan. It kills me to say that, but they're up there. And look, this is how you know that I hate these teams and I can do this, but I can also turn this off. Tennessee should be in the top 10.
Neyland Stadium. That place is incredible. It does.
It is incredible. Like I always say, if there's a place that I want to go watch outside of the swamp, I want to go to Tennessee. I have zero. Literally, there isn't an ounce in my body that wants to go to Doak Stadium. I've said that before, I don't want to go to that dumpster fire of a place. Ohio State, another fantastic stadium. They're a top 3 in my opinion. I've never looked at an Alabama game and man, would be sick to go to Bear Bryant. They're maybe top 10. Penn State, incredible place.
Yeah.
Probably should be top 5.
Nice. Penn State's nice.
Penn State, incredible atmosphere. Georgia, not a top 10. This is not me being a hater. Georgia fans are going to go rambunctious about this. Georgia, yes. Have they had big moments? Absolutely. Georgia's not a top 10 toughest place to play. I don't care who you are. Auburn should be probably up there. Oregon could, in my opinion, could be up. Wisconsin in the top 10. You lost all credibility. It is just disgusting. Like, unreal that Wisconsin isn't. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, maybe can you give me?
Maybe it's in the game. Maybe it's like the toughest places to play in the game and not like nationally because these are like people that make the game. These aren't like analysts or people that cover college football.
But what's their basis off of? I mean, yeah, I know it's going to be I know it's going to be toughest places to play in the game. Yes, you are correct. But they're really, and the game is supposed to simulate real life. They're incorrect with that because again, like you're like, oh, it's not a big deal. Yeah. No, when I'm playing the game, and if I'm playing Grand Mertz, Florida, and I'm happen to have Wisconsin on the schedule, and my controller's vibrating on a 2nd or on a 3rd and 5 at Cam Randall Stadium, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind.
It's like putting it at Hard Rock with those 150 people that show up, man. Your controller's gonna be rumbling over that. Like, come on, man. I want to know where Miami's at on this thing.
They're not
Like,
even in the top 32, I believe. I saw the full 32, and I don't think they were in there. Now, Jake
well,
Crane,
at the end of the day, obviously Florida needs to be number one. But at the end of the day, this is a list made by game creators. This wasn't a list made by people that actually cover college football.
you put all this time and effort into the game, you got to be better. There is
Is
zero excuse here. Zero
is this
excuse.
is this a prelude of how the game's going to be?
I don't know. But Jake Crane got it right. I think this is probably the best list that I've seen so far. He made one when everyone made their own list, and this was the best one that I felt.
Yeah,
LSU at number one.
I saw Jake's list too, and I agreed with it. I was like, yeah, that's pretty fair.
LSU at number one. Penn State at number two. I'm okay with that. Tennessee at number three. I think 2, 3, 4. Florida's going to be up there for me. I think LSU, Florida 1, 2. Like how I would look at it is if you're looking at Florida at its best, LSU at its best, Penn State at its best, what stadium is absolutely insane? You're not matching the level of Florida. And look, I think again, Penn State, Tennessee, Florida, you could flop those three. Auburn, loved. I think Ohio State's above Auburn, but Ohio State, Auburn, love that. That's like a tier 2.
I'll tell you what, that Auburn Stadium gets pretty rowdy when it comes to that Alabama Auburn game. Yeah, it's.
I agree.
I mean,
you're
like
not
I've
wrong.
watched a couple of those Iron Bowls. Like those Iron Bowls, man, you can't beat those.
You're right. Look, I think you could argue that. I'm just saying, me personally. There's Oregon. Like I said, I think Oregon is an incredible place to play. Watching it on TV, you feel the energy. Clemson, I didn't even think about Clemson, but yeah, Clemson's rowdy, bro. They pet that rock, and it's like Thor with his extra little charm on his finger. Shit just sets off, bro. I don't know what it is, but they start rubbing that rock, and it like sends a vibration through the whole stadium. It's insane. Alabama, I think you could throw Michigan in that spot. Personally, I think you move A&M to 9 and Michigan at 10. I don't think Bama's in the top 10.
I might agree with A&M with that video game at number one because they were able to like get like 70,000 people in there during COVID. Like it was just like 70,000 guys in there. Like for when you're supposed to have like 20,000, it felt like 70.
I think the A&M fan base is insane, and maybe 10's a little low for A&M, but toughest places to play. I just don't know. I mean, it's loud. They're obviously home with the 12th man. They've advertised that well. They carry that very well. It's an incredible place. Toughest place to play. I just don't. Look, number 9, cool with it. Michigan should be in front of Alabama. I think you're throwing a little slack there, but
yeah, Michigan could get rowdy there too. I've seen a packed stadium for like I guess you could say Ohio State Michigan game, but like I've seen a packed Michigan stadium. It's pretty rowdy.
And look, I mean, we could spit and fight over this list all day long. We're not going to get it perfect, but this in my opinion, I don't think anybody would have been an uproar. The list from EA Sports is disgusting. Kay Ziegler says LSU at 1, Tennessee at 2, UF at 3, Penn State at 4, Michigan, Ohio State 5, 6, TAMU at 7, Auburn, Oregon, and then Clemson at 10. Now, look, it's a healthy list. I think there's if we're looking at this from a tier perspective, there's probably 3 to 4 tiers, and I think if you kind of break it up, you got tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. I think those where everybody sits currently, I would bump Florida into that tier 1, and then you can kind of argue with the rest. But Texas is another great place. Go ahead.
I kind of looked at his list though too, and I was looking at like comparisons of like home records like during home games, and like it is pretty close. Like we have like an 81.7% for like home games, like win totals. I think it was over like the course of like 15 years or something.
Interesting.
Like that, or 20. I can't remember what side I was looking at, but I think LSU had the highest. I can't remember. It was either LSU or Alabama.
And I think, look, I honestly, if EA Sports, and clearly they didn't follow that, if EA Sports would have put here's what and here's why, then it's backed by data and it's not even a personal feeling, because that's a tough place to play. If LSU is 91% success rate over 15 years at home, that place is hella hard to play in. Even look, people are not going to like this, but Utah's probably should be not at top 10, but top 15. I mean, it's hard to play at that place. I mean, they're very successful at Utah. So I just saw someone else say something pretty good. Oh, Washington. Yeah, I was actually talking to Derek the Duck. He said Washington is an electric place to play as well too. Will it be so electric this coming year? Who knows? Great show though, boys. Got to rock the spacesuit on a Wednesday. That's always fantastic when we get to do that. Again,
And I got the lane chain. Lane chain.
got the lane chains. Juicy July is it's gearing up to be a good one. Hopefully, maybe we'll have some more pop-up shows, live shows for some big time commitments. We will see. If that does happen, turn the bell on. Let's have ourselves a hell of a July. If nothing crazy happens, obviously we'll see you probably on Monday. Then, of course, on Wednesday, the day before 4th of July. But until then, boys, smash the like button, subscribe. I love you. Until next time, I'm Shelton.
And I just report the news, baby.
Boogity, 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 boys. Let's go racing.